Okay, so we have about 22 attendees, and we're going to stay waiting for about a minute or two more so that more people can join in, and then we can start. I'm going to share my screen in the meantime, Vishak, so you tell me if you can see it.
All right.
Is my screen visible?
Yep.
Great, okay. We'll give it another minute and then we can start.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I can see the attendees are joining in now.
That's great. I just wanted to quickly have some water. Okay, I think then let's begin. Yes?
Yeah, let's just give it one more minute maybe, and then we can start.
Okay.
All right, let's get started.
Okay then. Hi everyone, it's great to have you all with us here today for our second Connected CMMS walkthrough webinar. Before we begin, I'm just going to give you a quick run through as to what the session is going to be like. We are going to be following our tried and tested formula of having a 20-minute panel discussion and then a 20-minute Q&A. I only request that during the session, please have your mics muted. And if you all have any questions at any point in time, feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand. We're happy to get to it during the session as well. As always, all the slides and the recording for the session will be sent to you after the session is over. And also stay tuned because we're going to have a few quick, nice interactive polls during the session itself. So that's going to be really fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. So let's jump right in to the agenda for today's session. I'll be walking you through a quick introduction to Facilio and then be addressing the question that some of you probably had since you signed up for this, which is why should CMMS at all contextually empower multiple stakeholders? And then I'll give it over to my colleague and resident solutions architect, Vishak, who will be walking us through how it is that different stakeholders have been using Facilio to really better and grow their O&M processes over time. And then finally, we'll lead into our Q&A session. All right, so we'll get started for today. I'd like all of you to meet Facilio. Facilio really is an end-to-end O&M cloud operations platform that helps aggregate data from across systems, processes, and people, and really help you optimize, monitor, and control your entire portfolio's operations all from one place. Facilio really is a market-leading cloud operations platform in property operations. And of course, if you follow our socials, you would have noticed that we just raised a 35 million Series B funding round led by Dragonair Investment in Brookfield, which was a marquee moment for us. And yeah, I really hope that all of you were able to take a chance in that as well. Moving on, as I said in the beginning of the session, this is our second Connected CMMS walkthrough webinar. We just conducted one last month on how it is that workflow automation, which is a foundational feature in Connected CMMS, can help you cut your time to value by half. And if you would like the recording for that session and the slides from that session, you can always ping us on chat and we'll be happy to give that to you. We also just published an article on Realcom on the top 3 tech features for operational agility for O&M teams. And you will be able to have access to that as well if you can just ping us whenever you need it. Now, getting to the meat of the matter as to why is it that CMMS should at all empower multiple stakeholders in O&M in real time. Now, in order to answer this, I thought I will redirect you to one of the polls that we conducted earlier on. I think this was several webinars ago, but what we wanted to do at the time was to really narrow down on the challenges that were faced by O&M teams in large organizations today. And as we can see, over 44% of the people who voted found that collaboration within teams was really one of the struggles that they faced on a day-to-day basis. And this is really because O&M has always, in fact, involved multiple stakeholders, whether it be your vendors, your tenants, your clients, or of course, your managers and executives. We always, in fact, have needed a system that can bring everybody to the same place and enable better visibility and collaboration. But traditional CMMS has always seemed to really favor just one stakeholder, and that is the technician or the field teams. And so I did a bit of a mock-up drawing for you guys as to what is it this kind of CMMS, single stakeholder CMMS operations would look like. And as you can see in the bottom here, we have the CMMS system with which we have our technician teams operating and interfacing with. Now these technicians have to also remove or rather not remove, but redirect some of the time that they spend on resolving maintenance issues toward generating reports and really translating the data they have interfaced with from the CMMS to managerial teams, and also have to really interface with external vendors and other stakeholders to ensure optimal client satisfaction. And this really results in a lot of information loss and wasted time, because ultimately the two major stakeholders who are left out of this process are the executives, who have very little visibility into what is going on in their organization, as we say, from the boardroom to the boiler room. And then we have the customers who experience a prolonged maintenance process and have no updates whenever their issues are being resolved. And yeah, this results in poor client experience and a lack of trust in the organization they're interfacing with. And of course, for the executives, we see that they're facing troubles with making decisions that can really help grow the entire organization. So now, I mean, after everything that we've discussed, I think it is a little overdue for CMMS really to change. And traditionally, if you can direct your attention to the bottom left of the screen here, you would see that most CMMS actually just handles maintenance management, which is your planned work orders, your assets, and really focus on just the maintenance tasks that technicians work on day-to-day basis. But the CMMS that we propose is really something that can connect every stakeholder involved in the O&M process. And we do this by directing individual attention towards all of them through portals that help with improving visibility, collaboration, and really add value to every stakeholder involved. And yeah, so this kind of stakeholder system process with connected CMMS really directs attention towards engaging the people involved in the process. And this kind of multi-stakeholder CMMS system would look something like this, where every single stakeholder has instant access to the information that they need, and every stakeholder is met wherever they are. And we, of course, as I mentioned, do this through portals. So we empower every stakeholder with better visibility, the tools they need to make the right decisions, that is data and actionable insights. And then we also help with putting all this together and ensuring that the client or the customer at the end of all this has the ultimate maintenance experience when they're interfacing with organizations. And so this kind of CMMS system really focuses on visibility and experience for everyone involved. Now, at this juncture, I would like to launch a poll for you guys to really understand where it is that your O&M teams are currently spending most of their time, or how it is that you're spending most of your time. And wait, give me a second here. Yeah, so I'm just going to launch this now. Vishak, can you please tell me if you're able to see this on your screen?
Yep. I think the poll's live. People should be able to vote on it now.
Yes.
So this poll really was, the idea behind this was to identify where there is a lot of time lost in and where there's lost visibility as well, because these are happening outside of systems that are easy to track. So I think this is going to give us a lot of insight.
Definitely. And also it just helps us further our premise, right, as to whether connected CMMS really helps you improve your time efficiency. And yeah, I think a lot of people have participated from our session today. Great. Okay. So I think, Vishak, you can see this. We see that 44% of our audience today, in fact, spends more than 4 hours on tools outside of their CMMS to really help in making sure collaboration is happening across teams, using a lot of manual implement.
I think you have to publish the results. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, I'm just going to do that. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, here are the results. Can you see them on the screen? Are you able to see them yet?
Yeah, it's up now.
Okay, great. Yeah, so 47% of our audience, that's quite a large number. Great, so now that we have that, I'm going to hand this over to you, Vishak, to really take us through how it is that Connected CMMS is able to engage multiple stakeholders, and over to you.
All right, perfect. So let me share my screen, just 1 second. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, yes, it is.
All right, perfect. So I think that poll really gave us good insight in terms of how teams are, facing challenges with, spending time on tools that are difficult to track, difficult to gain visibility of, and the fact that there are multiple tools and they have to shift data between each and every one of them makes it, difficult to engage these stakeholders in an efficient way. So what we have put together is talking about 4 groups of stakeholders over the next couple of slides, mainly the occupants within the property, the actual tenants who then interface with the occupants and the upstream FM teams, the vendors or subcontractors who actually come and perform these different maintenance activities as and when they needed to happen, and the actual executives or the building owners or the operators of the property themselves or the asset owners who are looking at entire portfolios and trying to gain better visibility and better control of the data that they're capturing. Right. So I'd like to really take this slide as an example here, because I think the CMMS, when in terms of how we are talking about it, is really split into 4 groups of capabilities. And we're going to be talking about the third layer here, which is the stakeholder engagement piece in today's webinar. Like Vibha said, we had webinars in the past talking about workflow orchestration. I think there's one planned in the future about the connected performance optimization, but today is going to be really focused on how we engage these stakeholders in an efficient way. So the first use case is talking about improving occupant experience. So yeah, Vibha?
Yeah, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I think here I do have another poll that I think we can run right now to really help understand which stakeholder is going to be the webinar's favorite for today. And so I'm going to do that. If all of you would just look at your screens and respond, that would be great.
Okay, this is going to help us, concentrate our attention on, 1 or 2 of these stakeholders who are gaining the most interest in terms of
and also, I think it's just a little fun to understand where everyone's attention is going to be. So definitely looking forward to the results on this. All right, then I think we have a nice little split between vendors and executives, but I'm going to be posting this very soon. All right, I think I'm going to share this now. Just give me a second. Is this visible on your screen, Vishak?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, looks like, but all of the above as well has I think that has the most votes, 38%.
All right, so I'm going to let you get to it, Vishak.
So I think we can focus on everything then. Perfect. So then let me get into the first use case here, talking about how we can improve occupant experience, right? So occupants really, their main focus within a property is to be able to have the best comfort possible. And the owners, operators, FM teams facilitate that by empowering them, right? And the mode of Facilio is to reach them wherever they are, in this case, using portals, using kiosks, using mobile applications to make it easier for them to raise requests, change control parameters within the property, maybe turning the heat up or down, and then inviting visitors and giving them real-time visibility as they request for specific services as well is really important, because they don't want to keep following up. So automating notifications whenever there is a request that's been raised, helping gain feedback. So collecting feedback from occupants really helps provide better knowledge and better decision making to the actual FM teams and the property management teams. So what Facilio is able to do is provide all of this in a seamless interface to the occupants, so that they can do all of these things just in the mobile app or in the portal, and this really helps them have the best experience possible, and therefore better employee satisfaction. So this is really the idea of the Facilio platform, and the way we're able to do that is through a couple of these screenshots here. We're talking about space management, where we're helping them reserve specific spaces within the property that can be used for any hoteling, hot desking requirements. It can be for reserving a parking space as well. Really anything, and this is really important, especially in the post-COVID scenario right now. And really helping hybrid work is the key here. And I think as people come back to work, they really want to be flexible in terms of their schedules. So helping them use mobile applications like this is really helps. And of course, creating the requests themselves, we want them to be able to quickly request for specific services without having to send a bunch of emails, call the teams up. And by digitizing this process, we're also helping teams keep a track of their SLAs, making sure that these requests are resolved as quickly as possible, and in turn providing the best experience possible. And in terms of the best experience possible, we also want to help them control specific parameters within the space they're in. Let's say in a meeting room, you want to change the temperature, dim the lights. These things are easily possible just through mobile applications. And this is really what occupants are expecting right now within properties, and having that sort of touchless, frictionless experience is really what Facilio helps enable. And of course, visitor management is a key aspect of that. And we want to be able to make sure that, let's say there's a meeting room booked and there are external participants, that visitors can seamlessly check in and check out within the property. And this also helps keep a track of the visitors within the property, and therefore the actual volume of occupants within the building. And that helps do demand-based HVAC, et cetera, down the line as well. So digitizing all of these things has huge value downstream to the other stakeholders who are a part of the O&M operations. And capturing feedback and making sure that tenants are being served the right way is also really key. Capturing feedback from occupants, I'll talk about later how this affects and helps decision making from the tenant side and then from the FM side as well. So really the before is occupants were having to use a separate tool, having to send over a bunch of emails, make a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of friction in the experience that they had, and there was therefore no insight to the actual ground teams who are servicing these occupants, or to the executives who are looking after a portfolio of properties. And of course, there's also energy waste because you're not able to do demand-based HVAC. So what we're then able to do is sort of provide them a portal, a web application, seamless experiences that they can do all of these things in a way that also helps the other stakeholders who are a part of that organization. And therefore, it dramatically improves productivity, it improves satisfaction, improves happiness within those occupant groups. So the next use case here is tenant engagement. And tenants are the next layer of stakeholders, sort of surrounding the occupants, right? So the people who are managing that particular demise. And they want to be able to gain better control of the requests that are going in and out of that particular demise, making sure that the occupants are satisfied is in their purview. And what we're able to do is provide them with, again, a different application, a portal for them to be able to enable communication downstream. So any announcements that have to be sent out, keeping a track of all the requests that have been raised by other people within that particular demise, making sure that they're able to capture the feedback and the satisfaction surveys that the occupants have actually done. And so that they get better visibility on how the occupants are within that particular property. And this really helps them keep a track of everything, and therefore quicker turnaround times, easy processes to actually resolve these issues. And therefore they're able to focus on their day-to-day tasks about keeping the occupants happy, making sure that there's compliance in terms of different activities that have to happen without having to use multiple tools and really divide that time and manually create these reports and dashboards to send to their executive teams. All of this has digitized and this is all automated. And this really helps them get a better experience and therefore better visibility as well. And this is, for example, the sort of tenant portal for them to look at these different request categories. They can manage all of this really easily. They can look at the tenant satisfaction metrics and the volume of requests that have been coming in. They can gain better control about what's happening within that particular device. And they can look at what service requests are coming through, what the volume looks like, what the categories look like, so that they can see if they have to deploy more resources for specific categories of work, follow up where needed. This really puts that information at their fingertips to help them make better decisions. And of course, when we go into the real-time data side of things, really surfacing data like air quality is also really important, especially post-COVID. And Facilio is able to do that as well through integration with sensor manufacturers, VMS systems, etc. And this again provides an additional level of visibility to tenants to see how their tenant space is being utilized by their occupants and if they're getting the best experience possible. And this also looks at occupancy trends, and this really helps them, let's say, define moves, etc., within the property, making sure that desks are being utilized. If they have to redefine the format of a certain space to maximize occupancy and space utilization, they can do that really easily by having these sort of reports and dashboards at their fingertips. And really that is the value, right? So we're helping them move away from the mode of firefighting, calling up multiple stakeholders, making sure that these requests are resolved properly, and communicating over emails, phone calls, etc. But then have to move them into a more proactive mode of operation where all the data is there, it is all visible to them, and they're able to take better decisions in really quicker fashion. And they're able to therefore reduce escalations downstream as well. So the executive team managing portfolios of properties with a lot of tenants, they're able to have better control and then therefore manage these things better in a smarter way. So the next sort of stakeholder we're going to be talking about is the subcontractors or vendors who are a part of the actual O&M, right? So whenever there's a request that's been raised, this might flow down into the vendors to go and perform those activities. And what we're able to do for them is really help them do these activities in the most seamless way possible, right? So any reports that they have to send up upstairs, any service requests that they have to sort of resolve, and they have to gain, let's say, a signature from that tenant when they're visiting that property, the safe work permit reports, the insurance documentation, warranty contracts, managing all of that can be done very, very easily through a portal. And once they upload all of that information, all the upstream approvals and contractual processes that the FM teams have to take care of are also automated and managed efficiently. So by helping the vendors digitize and automate a lot of their processes also helps the other stakeholders in the part of the operations. So what we're able to do is provide technicians with mobile applications with a portal for them to go and do these activities, look at the checklists, perform these different tasks, make sure that they're compliant with all of these different safety regulations. And we're also able to therefore provide them better visibility on their SLA adherence and their performance. And therefore, the vendors are able to provide better services in a far smarter and easier fashion. And therefore that allows for quicker turnaround times and therefore quicker time to value. And how that looks like is like this, right? So we're able to digitize all their work permits, all their work orders, everything is captured. They're able to click into it and perform a certain activity really easily. And all of their contact information, everything is digitized for the FM teams as well. And all of the information is available on the mobile application itself. So they can go click into a work order, perform that activity really quickly, and upload any information they might need on the mobile itself. And all the different tasks, everything is captured. And there's an audit trail as well. So notifications can be sent out automatically. So really the before is that vendors might have been using a separate system, might be using Excel, might be communicating a lot over emails. And there's a lot of delays that might happen because of this. So we're able to automate a lot of their processes, digitize all of their information, and move from paper-based documentation to digitized information, so that compliance checks, automation of workflows, everything can happen really easily. And therefore, FM and vendor teams can save time and resources and streamline their operations and provide better services to the occupants and tenants within the building. And if you can see, for example, there's 98% SLA adherence improvements that we've seen for past clients doing this.
Hi,
And I
Vishal.
think,
Yeah, before we go ahead, I think we have a raised hand from Lawrence Barclay. I think we would like to take his question now, or shall we? What shall we do? What would you like to do?
Go ahead, Lawrence. Ask away.
Awesome. Hi, Lawrence. You can ask us your question now by unmuting yourself.
Maybe it might work better if you
Yeah.
type the question out and we can take it in the Q&A session.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, you can go ahead. Before we move on, though, shall we launch our final poll just to get
Yeah.
every up and running before our last? Yeah. So I'm just going to launch our last poll. So this is just to understand your mindset before we lead into our executive visibility dashboard.
So really the goal here is to talk about all of these different stakeholders who are normally working in silos, right? So the executives might have a Tableau or a Power BI report that they see every month and that is being painstakingly collated by all of the FM teams and the property management teams who are then collating these reports based on data that they're receiving manually downstream from the technicians, the vendors who are doing these activities. There's a lot of rework, there's a lot of friction, and there's a lot of manual effort that's involved in providing the actual stakeholders, all these stakeholders, real-time visibility, and so they can all start making better decisions. So really the goal here of a connected CMMS is to bridge that gap, integrate all these stakeholders in an efficient way, provide access to the same data in different ways so that other people can start making better decisions based on the data that already exists because a certain person has done something, rather than having to rework and do it all over again.
Yes, and so now let's see what our poll has resulted in. I'm going to end it and share our results. As you can see, most of them are spread over multiple systems.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is definitely an efficiency game, and I think Vishak, you'll be able to talk us through how Facilio is able to augment efficiencies.
Yeah, and
Therefore,
I think the poll really says exactly what we just talked about, right? So there's a lot of Power BI, Tableau, multiple systems that are being used, and I think that's really is the pain point here. And we can tackle that really efficiently through the use of a connected CMS like the Facilio platform. So if I get into the next slide here, what we're really able to unearth is since the data is already existing within the platform, we're able to showcase that and gain get the executives' eyes on that data using benchmarks, KPIs, reports, and dashboards, so they can quickly start making better decisions and manage their entire portfolio in a simple way. And so they're able to automate manual reports, increase the net asset value by making sure that budget is being used in the best possible fashion, doing refurbishment or replacement activities, provide additional revenue streams to these people so that they can start providing additional services. So, people can, let's say, do space utilization as a service. They can provide air quality management as a service. All of these additional revenues that might otherwise require, other systems to be plugged into something like this. The Facilio platform has direct modules that they can consume and start using directly. And this already is already integrated with all the applications that all these other stakeholders are using. So there's an efficient way to move and start, having additional revenue streams within the platform. And this really helps, increase both bottom line as well as top line. And therefore they're able to gain better visibility and control at scale across their portfolio. And what they're able to do here, for example, we're talking about asset performance dashboards. This could be from the actual activities that the vendors are doing in terms of maintenance activities, which is then showcased and then reported on in terms of how that asset is behaving and then how it looks like across a portfolio of properties. So they can start investing time and effort, and as well as let's say money from that budget that year, so they can start refurbishing, replacing certain assets to start getting the best ROI possible. And giving them information on the cost per square foot, what the tenant satisfaction looks like, what asset health looks like. All of these metrics that will require a tremendous amount of manual effort, collating everything together in a dashboard is all done automatically by the platform. because all of these stakeholders are already a part of the 1M process, and we're bringing everyone together in a single place. All this data can then be surfaced and acted on really easily. And energy and all these other metrics are also captured as well. So everyone has an ESG goal now. Everyone wants to become net zero, and we're able to help them in that journey by identifying inefficiencies within their HVAC systems, what their energy usage increase looks like, and therefore how they can mitigate that. And the best way to do that is by reducing usage, right? So we can automate usage reduction by engaging the actual occupants, looking at what their usage is, and doing demand-based HVAC, doing control strategies. So all of these things that will otherwise require a tremendous amount of manual integration and multiple tools is all now done in a single platform. And that is the beauty of a connected CMMS like Facilio. And so therefore the before is that there is a lot of manual communication. There was gaps in execution because the data was not there or it was hard to collate. And what we're able to do now is help them make better decisions, improve ROI, and reduce their operational cost, because the time that resources spend on these things is drastically reduced in creating these reports, and they're able to improve portfolio-wide operations really. I think this sort of comes close to the presentation is now. I think this is the last slide. And really what Facilio is able to do is improve reliability and performance across teams, bring everything in a single place, provide contextual information to these different stakeholders, and therefore bring in this layer of visibility across all these O&M operations that are happening. So I think that, yeah, over to you for the Q&A.
Thanks so much, Vishak, for that awesome presentation. I think we really helped nail the point home. And we have a few questions already from our audience. Feel free to keep typing your questions down and we'll keep getting to them. So first from Michael, Vishak, does your IAQ and occupancy data come from Facilio sensors or third-party sensors?
Yeah, so the advantage of the Facilio platform is that we're completely hardware and vendor agnostic, and we're able to remain that by being purely a software vendor. So we can integrate with any sensor manufacturer. So the answer is no, if it's not Facilio sensors, it is a third-party sensors, which we're able to integrate with really easily.
Yes, thank you, Vishak, for answering the question. I hope, Michael, the doubt has been clear. We have another question from an anonymous attendee who asks, does the platform integrate management of HVAC health, checking for predictive maintenance as well?
So I think this is something we discussed in our last webinar. The answer is yes. What we're able to do, we didn't go into a lot of the maintenance side of things, but what we're able to do is actually do predictive condition-based maintenance using fault detection diagnostic rules that the technician teams can directly go and go into the site, know exactly what they have to do, what they have to fix before the asset breaks down completely. So that is the answer is yes, we can do that as well.
Awesome. We have another question from Ruchir Shah, who asks, different assets perform differently and might need different metrics that need to be tracked. Is the Facilio platform use case agnostic in terms of the data points that it tracks for assets, or are there specific predefined parameters?
I think, Ruchir, you're absolutely right. And different assets, different classes of assets have different metrics that they have to track. The boilers, chillers will have different metrics. And let's say a client has multiple properties across verticals. There might be data centers, real estate, which is commercial, and then there might be residential properties. So at multiple levels, there are different data points that have to be tracked and different KPIs that have to be created. So what we're able to do within the platform is we have a formula builder that allows us to create these KPIs, configure them, and apply them where applicable across multiple assets, multiple properties, but where there has to be unique KPIs that need to be created, we're able to do that as well. So it really is the best of both worlds.
Awesome. In fact, we have Ruchir and another anonymous attendee asking the same question, which is, what are the data communication protocols that Facilio supports? MQTT, HTTPS, Modbus, BACnet, which ones do it?
Yeah, so the Facilio platform has an edge component to the software, in the sense that there's an edge software that is able to be installed within a virtual machine in the same network as the BMS or other HVAC systems. It can be installed in a gateway in an industrial PC. And what is it able to do is communicate across BACnet, Modbus, OPC. We have a driver that can sit within Niagara as well. So really, any protocol, we're able to collect this data, and the data is then sent over to the Facilio cloud over MQTT. So, and it is TLS 1.2 encrypted and things. So we have multiple protocols for communication, and this is two ways. We're also able to write back and affect change to these assets as well, and therefore do demand-based control optimization strategies and save energy that way.
Great, thank you, Vishak, for the answer. We have another question from Michael, who asks if our software allows for distribution of work orders to outside vendors.
Yeah, so I think we sort of talked about that in the vendor section. So yes, the answer is yes, we do. We provide portals for subcontractors, vendors to come and perform these maintenance activities. And we're also able to keep a track of their documentation, so whether it's insurance, warranty contracts, safe work permits, all these things, RAMs, etc. And so we're able to help them do these activities efficiently and then report upstream in a simple way.
We have another question from Sambit, who asks how does digital metering occur for HVAC system in this in Facilio? Like, do we have any specific?
In terms of the metering itself, there might be energy meters within the property. We can directly communicate with, take the data through the agent. We might also be using APIs to fetch data from the meters through the utility provider. So we can take that data as well. And Facilio then can create those energy meters as assets within the platform, keep a track of its consumption, associate that with specific spaces, specific HVAC assets within the property, keep a track of, let's say if the boiler is running out of hours, we're able to see a spike in energy consumption. We can automate a work order that is then sent and is resolved. So all of these processes that have to happen based on this energy data is also can happen within the platform.
Thanks, Vishak. Let's see. If any of you have any other questions, please feel free to type it out in the Q&A box. We're happy to take it and really get down to answering how it is that connected CMMS works.
I think this has been a great session, some really good questions. And we've also, I think, seen a lot of insights from the polls over the course of this as well. I think I can see Sambit has asked if you can elaborate on asset lifecycle management. Sure. So the Facilio platform has the capability to do an end-to-end asset management, right? So we're able to take all this data from all these different assets, bring them all into a single platform. And then we're able to identify mean time between failure, mean time to repair metrics at an asset level. And then we're able to surface that data and provide that at a executive level. That's what you saw in that screenshot, which was really helping provide better decision-making prowess to the executives so that they can say, okay, this particular building has 50 assets that are really unreliable or failure prone. These have to be replaced, and they can make that decision very quickly. So I think, Sambit, the best thing for you, if you have a specific requirement, is to please reach out to us and we can schedule maybe a demo session for you to take you through that in more detail and answer some specific questions that you might have.
Thank you, Vishak, for answering that. I think I missed a question from the list. Ruchir asks us if Facilio provides contactless access control at entry points via QR codes, facial recognition, etc. for tenants and visitors.
Yeah, so Facilio provides access control in the sense that we're able to allow, using QR codes that we can scan a certain space, but we're not able to actually do the end-to-end. We are not an access control system, we're an overlay software. So what ends up happening is, for most clients, we integrate with their existing access control system, take the data out from that access control system and use that for analytics in terms of occupancy management, space utilization tracking, and energy management and things. So the answer is no, we don't provide access control systems from Facilio. We provide visitor management, but it is not access control. So we would integrate with the underlying building access control system.
Vishak, if you can direct your attention to the chat, we have another question asking us how Facilio does integrations with energy management systems, VMS, emergency lighting systems, and all of the other softwares that are in play already.
Yeah, so like we said earlier, we are able to use the edge component of the platform. So we have an edge software that can sit within the same network as all these different systems. And it is able to communicate across all standard building protocols, BACnet, over IP, a Modbus, OPC, and things. And we also have a Niagara driver. So we can take that and use that into the platform. And I can see that we're also going to be doing a webinar very soon, talking about how we can use IoT and enhance this even further.
Yes. Please do direct your questions to the chat. We'll stay on, I think, for about a few more minutes to see if anybody has any questions. And if not, I think we can wrap up. As I mentioned in the start of the session, we'll be, of course, sending across the recording and the slides from today's webinar to everybody who's registered. So do look out for that email. And if you would like to take this forward with a demo and learn more about the Facilio platform and exactly how it can fit your particular needs, we're happy to take that forward as well. You can write to us and reach out to us via our website, or at least respond to the email that we'll be sending on the recording. Oh, we have another question from Tessa, who asks, does Facilio have the capability to get all the faults from BMS systems, and what will that integration process be like?
Yeah, so the answer is yes, Tessa. We are able to do that. And it's the same way as we talked about earlier, using that edge component that has an option to map through alarms as well from the BMS system. So the integration process is really painless as long as the BMS is able to have standard protocols, or if not, if it's proprietary BMS, we would use Niagara as a middleware to be able to do that as well. But the answer is yes, we can do this.
Great. Thank you so much, Tessa, for your question. I think we don't have any other questions for today, so maybe we can wrap up. I covered our 40-minute time session, and so we'll give you back your minutes. And yes, I think we can end today's second Connected CMMS walkthrough.
Yeah,
great having you, Jack.
Yeah,
Yes.
same here. It's been great to be on this one. I think it's going to be a really good series. Stay tuned for the next one, everybody. I think this is a lot of insight from today's call, so I'm happy to be on here.
Awesome. Thank you guys for attending. It was great having you, and we'll see everyone in the next session. So stay tuned for our announcement.
All right.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Thank you so much. Bye.